Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk a little bit about us, about renting versus buying, about the whole buying process, of course, and you have the time to do your questions. I'll introduce myself first, and then I will talk about the questions. So I am Giovanna. I live in the Netherlands for about, I think it will be 13 years. I'm an expat buying manager and also rental manager. I am from Brazil. I have two children, a daughter and a son. I moved to the Netherlands in 2009. I rented a place. I wouldn't say a place. I would say more like 9 places before I buy my house. I bought my house. I bought my first house. I renovated completely. I sold the house because the market was started growing again. And then I bought a very old house and renovated completely. And I might sell it because the market is going really high again. So let's see, but I don't think I can buy it anymore. So let's see how it goes. So this is our team. We have with us today Ludo, my colleague Ludo. He is from the Netherlands. Thank you for being here, Ludo.
No, I would. Well, thank you very much for introducing me. I'm indeed Ludo, also a buying manager. I'll be here today to answer all the questions. So yeah, feel free to ask anything that you like within the boundaries of buying a house, of course.
Yeah, of course. So you can see this is our team. A few of them, we have more people as well. Katie from Cyprus, Alana from Ireland, Philip from Belgium, Dominic from UK. We have Kimo is the founder of the H&M. He is from Caribbean islands. And we want to be very clear to the whole presentation. So we'd like to let you know that we not traditional real estate agents. We don't have a house for selling or for rent, or we don't have a real estate agent. We only help you during the process of buying and renting. We have fixed charge for our service. We don't charge you a percentage, a commission about the price that you're buying. And of course, we know what it looks like, what it's like to settle in a new country. We've been in a few, and all of us are from somewhere and have come to the Netherlands. I myself have lived in 3 different countries. It's not easy, isn't it? And we will do talk about, of course, the whole process of buying, do the full disclosure of what the process looks like and what you should know about it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm able to answer a few questions about it because, of course, I did finance my own properties, but I'm not a financial advisor. So if you have specifics, I'll be very happy to give you some names at the end. You're going to see my email address and you'll receive everything. Feel free to reach out and I will share with you the people that I've used for myself as well and people we work with. I will share my opinions and experience of the market, of course, and but please always ask a true financial specialist, as we said it before. Let's get to know you, but before we do that, I would like to ask you if you have any questions about the whole presentation, the process itself, please ask them at the end of the presentation. We will answer all of them, or just pop them at the chat as well. But we will answer all of them at the end of the presentation. When I'm done, I will answer all your questions. Feel free to ask them. The goal today is add value to you. Of course, we believe in sharing information freely and give you our tips as well and everything we know about buying a house in the Netherlands. Some news about Eindhoven. Is not just Eindhoven actually, but Eindhoven because of the amount of people that are coming to work for SML, for Philips, of all the other IT companies or the high-tech companies. The shortage of houses for sale, of course, it's quite big in the whole Netherlands. I think I read last week is about 300,000, which is quite a lot. But Eindhoven, it's not a really, really big city, so I believe the problem is a bit bigger. We see that more and more often with our clients as well. Here it says that there was a transaction that people bought it almost 100,000 euros more than the asking price. They overbid that much. But we're going to talk about this later and explain to you about the overbidding and the real price, the real value of the houses as well. Let's see about this one. And of course, we see as you probably know by now, right? Eindhoven is not the most pretty city in this country. There are much more nice cities. But of course, Eindhoven also has its charms, the high-tech campus, the whole university as well, all the Stripe S and all the parks around. So we see more and more people coming to Eindhoven. Some news about the mortgage, the NHG, National Mortgage Guarantee, you probably heard about it from 2021, and it went up to 325. And just to clarify that, 325, it's not what you're going to finance, is the value of the property, the purchase price. So if you buy a house that, let's say you have cash and you don't want 100% of mortgage, and you bought a house for 350 and you only will finance 300 or so, so you want to get NHG, that's not possible. NHG, the purchase price has to be 325 maximum. So anything above that, you're not able to get the lowest interest rate that they offer. I did hear some buzzing around, say they might put that price up, but it's nothing confirmed, or it's just a buzz around. And I know for how much, I think it was 340 or something that I heard, that I read somewhere, that not next year or so, but maybe in the future. Transfer tax exceptions. If you are younger than 35 years old and you never bought a house in the Netherlands, is your first time, then you don't have to pay the 2% transfer tax. Of course, the house has to be a maximum value of 400,000 euros. Or one of you as well, if your partner or someone that you buy the house with, a friend or something, is under 35, never bought a house before, and is also cheaper than 400K, you also get the transfer exception, but then you get 1%. Even if one of you already bought a house and the other one didn't, but has those less than 35 years old, first house, maximum 400, you also get 1%. So that's something you can use. Although the market for 400 is going, it doesn't stop growing, so they're gonna have to change that value. We did a bit of a comparison about the renting versus buying market. We see that the rent, I have to say, it was quiet for a while, a few months ago, but now they open up all the borders. It's getting really, really difficult to rent a place as well, not just because of the price, but because the amount of people who need it, and so it's hard both sides, right? So here we have an apartment at the city center. This is behind the library in the city. You probably know what it is. This apartment rental price is 1350. I have to be honest, I think this price now can be put up to 1550, not 1350 anymore. It's quite a big an apartment for that amount, and the location is pretty good. And if there is a garage, which I know all the apartments in this building, they do have it, but now with the rental, they are also renting the garage separately to get some extra money. But I would say this apartment would be at least 1500. So not the 1350 anymore, it will be even higher. And here we made a little comparison about the pros about rent an apartment. You have flexibility. You can leave, of course, when your contract is over, or depends on your contract, whenever you like. No property or homeowner taxes that you pay once a year. No down payment, of course, except of deposit that you probably will get it back once you leave the apartment if it's in the good conditions. The maintenance is the landlord responsibility. The cons, 1350, let's put that to 1500 at least, goes to the landlord. You don't get anything back. No building up equity, of course, no benefits of the market conditions or risks, and the market is growing. And then this one, it was sold. I don't remember when was that sold, but I would say now it would sell at least for 450 in that building, in that same area. Pros, again, stability, no ending lease. Mortgage interest deduction, which is really good. Build up equity by monthly payments. And if you look at the market, last year, the market has grown around 10%. So if you bought the year before, you probably would already get part of the money that you put in the overbidding, if you did so, back, which is great. Cons, there will be property and homeowner taxes. Of course, you have to pay that by yourself. Monthly costs, BVA and insurance, building insurance and all those things. Harder to move because, yeah, you have your own house, you are paying already, so it's a bit more difficult. Or maybe with this market and the way it is, it might not be that hard anymore for now, because it's quite easy to sell as well. Maintenance is your own responsibility. Of course, you have to do that. And building wise, it is from the VVA, the owner associations, but the inside is your responsibility. So here we can see, and here there is a really good comparison. Rental price 1350, 16,200 euros per year, buying 398, interest rate 1.54, because here you are buying it's with a very good interest rate. It might be able even to get lower than that. Monthly payment 886, monthly interest rates 496. So closing fees 15,920 per year. So here we can see about the earning in about what's the difference. I have to take my camera from the chart, that I couldn't see it. So when you start to earning already on month 7, what is the difference that we make regarding the rental and the buying? But again, I would say the rental, we could put it up to 1,500, but the apartment would be also close around the 420 by now, this year, I think, or by the end of the year already. So it is actually, in my opinion, better if you are staying in the Netherlands for at least 3 to 5 for the next 3 to 5 years. I would very highly recommend you to buy a property if you can. Of course, if you don't have to overbid crazy the amount of money, of course, I would highly recommend you to buy. And then the way the market is going, you would do a good profit if you have to sell it in 5 or 6, 7 years. Here we go. What we will need in savings to be able to buy a property in the Netherlands. So the banks in the Netherlands, they are only able to finance 100% of mortgage, nothing above that, 100%, and only from the house, nothing above that. So what you need to have in cash, the rest you need to have in cash to be able to finance everything. So transfer tax, if you're not under 35, if it's not your first house, if it's the house not cheaper than 400k, then you will pay 2% purchase price. You're not paying 2% purchase price if it's a new building. If it's nobody ever lived there before, then you don't pay the 2% transfer tax. But if someone already lived there and you are not in this group of the 35 years old and 400 and etc., then you do have to pay those taxes. Notary, mortgage deed and transfer deed, you have to pay. The mortgage deed, everything that is regarding mortgage and regard financial part, you do get, it's tax deductible. You get a part of this back in your next taxes. I think you get, depends on your salary, of course, you get around 37 to 41% back from that value for the mortgage deed, not for the transfer deed. Bank or mortgage advisor, you also have taxes, tax return. One thing that if you don't know about it, let's say if you have a bank account in the ABN and you go to ABN for them to do your mortgage, it doesn't mean you don't have to pay for them to do that. They do charge just as a mortgage advisor. It's a bit cheaper, but they do charge. It's not because you have a bank account that you do it that for you. So just so you know, so that's why I believe it's very is worth it to talk to a mortgage advisor as well, since you already have to pay anyway. So it's nice to have a second opinion. A typical real estate agent charges around 1 or 2% of the purchase price without taxes. This is without taxes, and we charge a fixed fee. It doesn't matter if you buy a house that costs 150k, if there is one, or if you buy a house of what was it this week in Amsterdam, 2 million or something, right, Ludo, that we had a client who bought a house of that price. So it doesn't really matter. The price is the same for everyone. Appraiser costs, for now, those are the costs, 550 to 600, but from, I believe, October 1st, the price will go up a little bit because they have to do a different kind of report. And as you can see, appraisal is deductible because you need a valuation report to be able to have a mortgage. It's mandatory in the Netherlands as well. So you need a valuation report from the appraiser to be able to do that. Technical inspector, it costs around 425. Here in Eindhoven, we can put 375, I would say. Those are not, this is not tax deductible because a technical inspector is something that you choose. It's something, it's your choice. If you want not have or not for the house. On property, although it's not tax deductible, is also mandatory if you don't speak Dutch at the notary. They will provide one for you, but you do have to pay, of course. One tip, if you are good enough in English, which I believe all of you are, go for the English one. It's cheaper. If you try to get any other language, they cost almost double. So that's good to know. Bank guarantee, that's also mandatory when you buy a house in the Netherlands, is that 10% of the purchase price that has to be transferred to the notary, and the banks charge 1% a fee of 1% to be able to borrow you that money for the time you are in the process of getting the house. And of course, if you buy a house cheaper than 325, up to 325, you are able to get the NEHG mortgage, but you do have to pay for that 0.7% of the purchase price as well. That's only one payment. You pay only once when you're doing a mortgage, and that's tax deductible as well. And you get very low interest rates. Where are you in the buying process? So we do have a, we do have a poll to get to know where are you guys in the buying process now in that stage. If you are in Funda, if you are still thinking about it, let me see if I can manage to do it. No, can you do?
I cannot. Do you have the poll function in?
It's not going through. Oh, that's a pity. Sometimes it doesn't work, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been having a little bit of difficulties the past.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. So let's move forward then with the buying timeline, so you can understand the process of the buying, the whole buying process. So we have, this is a big timeline. We put some more or less 2 months for everything, not for everything, but more or less for you to understand. Well, let me start explain the timeline, and then I can tell you about the time. Why? Because normally in the Netherlands, when you're buying a house, and most of the time you're going to make an offer, and the house is going to be available only about what I see now. We are in September. I do have a client who's going to move in February already. So but most of them are the houses are available from November on. So November, December already, because we are in the almost end of September. So that's when the moving date will happen, and that's quite fast actually. So just so you know, so you start your process, you start your search on Funda, you look for the houses, you make an appointment, you go to the house, you like it very much, you look at everything, and then you make your offer. You submit your offer. Once your offer is approved, you do the appraiser to have evaluation report, you do the technical inspection, and then between that offer and signing the purchase agreement, I would say that's maximum 2 weeks. But I want to say something before you have an offer accepted. When you go to a house and you like it with an offer, please ask for the documents of the house. There is a lot of documents that come. Normally for a house it's around 3 PDF files or so, and for an apartment that's much more, around 12, I think. It depends on the VVA even more, the owner associations. But in those documents you can see the state of the house. They have a questionnaire which questions about the house, if the house had a leakage before, if they did any renovation in the house, how old is the boiler, when was the last maintenance, those things that makes you decide if you need a technical inspection or not, that if the house is good, in good condition or not, that will be on the questionnaire. So please ask for them, look at them before you make an offer, because then you know for sure. And then if you have questions, call the agent, the selling part, and ask about them. For example, if there was infiltration in the wall or something, water infiltration, ask them about it. If they fix it, when was it, what damage did to the wall, because in the future, if you have something, the house is going to be your responsibility and you are the one who's going to have to fix it. So then after offer gets submitted, it's time for you to make some few appointments. That's the technical inspection if you think is necessary, and an appraiser to have evaluation reports. That I said before, that's mandatory. One tip I would like to give you here that I see that happens very often with people that are coming to us after signing the offer or after having an offer accepted, like kind of desperate. Don't sign the purchase agreement. You see after appraiser and technical inspection, you see that is before signing purchase agreement. Please don't sign anything until you have an appraiser being in the house. It's very important to know the real value of the house, because that's the value you're going to get as a mortgage. If you don't do that, and you have the appraiser afterwards, and let's say the price you offer is not what the house is worth it, and it's much less, you ended up having to pay 10% of as a penalty to the seller. So be aware of that. That's a tip. Even if you don't work with us, just sign that. Don't sign anything before you have the appraisal done. After you sign the purchase agreement, that's time for you to start your mortgage process. Normal average is about 4 weeks, but most of the contracts will come with maximum of 6 weeks from the signing. So that's why you have to sign to have your whole process done for the mortgage. Get all your paperwork, get the appraisal report ready, send to your mortgage advisor, and he will get your offer from the bank, sign everything, and then you send to the notary. After you sign the purchase agreement, you do have 3 days. Those 3 days are called cool-off period. Those 3 days are the days you can just give it up everything, just let it go and not buy the house and not paying any penalty. So for example, another tip, sign on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday, not on a Monday, not on a Tuesday. You do have those 3 days are 3 working days. So which means if you sign on a Friday, you still have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to pull out of the deal without paying any penalties. After those 3 days, you are obligated to get your mortgage, or if you have a financial clause, you can only pull out of the deal if you have a mortgage, if your mortgage not accepted. If you don't have financial clause and you don't get your mortgage accepted, you will have to pay 10% penalty to the seller, 10% of the purchase price. So be careful with that. So let's say your mortgage gets approved, then is the statement of completion, which means in that statement you're going to you're going to receive a invoice from the notary with all the costs that we have to make a mortgage. For example, mortgage advisor, the notary itself that you have to pay, the translator, all those little costs that we showed you here. Those are all the things you're going to have to pay in this time of the statement of completion time, the final note you're going to receive. And so you have what we see here in the notaries. We work in the Eindhoven area. You see, you have maximum of 24 hours. Everything has to pay 24 hours before the transfer date. So the money has to be in their bank account. That's something they're going to tell you, of course, but that has to be paid before you get your keys. So then the other day, you're going to do an inspection before you go to the notary. What you do about, let's say, an hour, depends where the house is, because you have to drive or get a public transportation, an hour and a half before you go to the notary. You go with your agent, you go with the selling part as well, with the owner of the house, the ex-owner, let's say, of the house, the seller. You go to the house and you do inspection in the house. That's used. The inspection is for you to see if everything is okay in the house, if let's say you went there in the viewing and you haven't been there before to get your keys. So the house has to be in the same state when you saw it on your viewing. Of course, they have to take the furniture if you didn't buy anything, and if you bought something, that's the time you're going to see if it's still in a good condition or pay them those kind of things. So that's what you do, and also get all the numbers from the water meter, gas, electricity, because from that day on it's going to be in your name. So most real estate, they make inspection report, and then they send it to you, to the notary, to your agent, to everyone. And then after that, if everything's okay, if the house is the same way, don't expect the house to be clean. It's not mandatory for the seller to clean the house. I have this question a lot, and I have also for my clients, well, they didn't even clean the house. They don't have to. It doesn't say anywhere. The house only have to be the same way. When they cannot, for example, break a wall, paint a wall. They can only fix at the house if something breaks after you sign the purchase agreement, but they cannot change anything. But they also don't have to clean the house for you. Would be great, wouldn't it? But they don't have to. And then you go to the notary, and then the translator is going to be there as well. And then you read your mortgage deed, transfer deed, and then you get your keys, and then you are the owner of the house. Make sure your insurance, house insurance, is signed up, that everything is done, because from that day on is your responsibility. If something happens, the house is your responsibility. There is a 2 months we call a liability month, which means that I always tell my clients, move in, try everything, microwave, heating, put all the oh my god, the heating system on, warm water, everything, to see if everything is working. If it's not, of course, contact the seller. I would like to say that this is a very gray zone, so don't expect the seller to come and fix thing. You are not, if you're not buying a new build, you know it's not a new build, that things can break, and of course if it's a major thing, it's different. It's not going to be let's say you moved in and then suddenly the whole pipe in the wall explodes or something like that, and something really bad happened with the wall. Of course that's different. But if you moved in and then a few weeks later, I don't know, that something in the lights doesn't work, or the freezer stopped working, that's something you have to, that's why the questionnaire, because then you know how old is the kitchen as well. That's why the liability. So and that's why it's also a very gray zone. You have very nice sellers that will come and look at the house and talk to you, and you have people that will never talk to you again after you buy their houses. So that's why it's a gray zone. So be aware of that as well. Who you meet in the process. So this is a mortgage advisor. This is Robin. He works for Mr. Mortgage. We work with him as well. He will share all information about your financial score of your mortgage and best conditions and rates. We help prepare the right documents, submit the mortgage application once the offer gets accepted, and we'll chase the bank's updates and confirmation. So that's what the mortgage advisor will do for you. Normally what you get from a mortgage advisor, you get this they have this process with all like 10, 12. There in the Netherlands, there are about, I think, 40 something lenders that you can have mortgage. They are pension companies, insurance companies, and the banks, of course, banks that we don't have access, only the mortgage advisors. So he'll be able to show all those banks and associations, and decided together which one is better for you, for your income, for all your finances. I can give you an example. We had to change the first bank mortgage, I believe was ABN, and then the second one we had to change the bank because the second bank didn't accept our bonus as part of our incomes. So we had to change the banks, and we didn't know that. So with the mortgage advisor, we was able to find one bank that would accept our incomes as a part of our bonus, as part of our incomes, and then we got our mortgage accepted in the conditions we wanted to. So that's something the mortgage advisor can check for you and see what are the better conditions for that. Did I skip someone? No. There you go. Yeah, this is Alana, my colleague. She is a buy consent, a buying agent. Alana will inform you and assist you during the full process. So we'll be there with you during the full process of buying a house. Schedule, if you enjoy them, when it's depend on the package, of course, that you have. Property research, that's something that's very important about the overbidding of a house, that you know the real price of the house before you put any offer, and negotiate, of course, for you the price research and property research. It's really, really important that you do that before you have any overbidding in the house. I hear people saying a lot, especially when I go to viewings with the clients, for example, that you have to pay 10-20% more to get the house. Might be true if you compare with the price on Funda, but it doesn't mean that the price on Funda is the same price, is the real price of the house, the price that the appraiser will give for the house. So that's why property and price research are very important. And most likely what I see here in the Eindhoven region, the prices that you see on Funda are much lower than the real price of the house. Of course, depends on the real estate agent as well, but the majority of them put the price lower than what the real value is. So then when you have to overbid, I think we have a slide for that later that I can explain to you. When you have to overbid, then you see the difference. And after you get your offer accepted, and we of course we do the whole negotiation and everything, offer, client profile, we will schedule the notary appraisal, technical inspection if it's necessary, and if depends on the package, be there with you in the meetings, of course. Review all the Dutch and legal documents. Although we are expats, most of us speak Dutch. I do speak Dutch as well. Most of the documents you will see, they are Dutch, indeed, and you receive together a kind of an explanation in English of all the articles we have in a contract, those kind of things. But we go through all of them together, and be sure that you are safe, and that the risks are not on your side. And the appraiser, let's talk about the appraiser. The appraiser, as I told you, it's mandatory to have technical inspection, valuation report for the mortgage, not technical inspection, valuation report for the mortgage. Unless you buy the house and you don't need financial whatsoever, then of course there's no need. But for the bank, you do need a valuation report. You ask Michelle for a report before confirming your mortgage. That's what they need to know, what is the real value of the property. Michelle will come after your offer gets accepted. As I said to you before, no signing until she's there, and give you the real price of the house. To determine the value, you look at comparable properties sold in the recent past, plus current condition, plus VVA. So what the appraiser do, he compares the houses, the price of the house that were sold in the neighborhood, and that's how he come to a price. He will look the inside of the house and see the conditions, if you have solar panels, how old is the kitchen, how big is your garden, those kind of things. If you have wooden windows or PVC windows, or the energy label, of course, as well. Everything that is good in the house will make the price better. And if it's an apartment, she will look the conditions of the VVA, the owner associations, if they have money in the savings, if they are intending to do any renovations in the building, if they did any renovations in the past, and then and of course look the apartments around and see for how much they were sold in the past. And that's how they come to a price and tell the bank, look, this is the real price of the house, and that's the real market value of the property, and that's how much the bank will give it to you. Of course, if you have the budget for that, right? But that's the maximum. So if you have a budget of 500K, but you buy a property that the appraiser says that the property is worth only 350, that's when you're going to get 350. You're not going to get the 500. So be aware of that. Michelle is the appraiser, independent party. It's an association called NEWWI. They'll review. She'll make the report and then send it to this association. And this association will also review the document before sharing with the bank. This might take 3 to 7 days. I would say 3 to 7 working days to have the report ready, done, a paper. The paper has about 80 pages. You can have a smaller version, but the bank needs everything. So, but not for her to be at the house, but for her to make the paperwork to be ready for it. But of course, you can always talk to her after she's in the house and see what is, if she can tell you already what's the value that it will be in the report. So remember that. Oops. There you go. The notary. So it's also mandatory to have a notary. The notary will prepare the mortgage deed and the transfer deed for you. The mortgage deed is the deal between you and the bank about the mortgage, and the transfer deed is a deal between you and the seller. Hence creates legally binding agreements between you and the seller and you and the bank. You come into play once your purchase contract is signed, and he'll create the following documents for you: purchase agreement, purchase contract. So here in Eindhoven, a purchase contract are made by the selling part. So really pay attention. What are they writing? Is not made by the notary. In Amsterdam area, Utrecht, that those places are the purchase contracts are made by the notary only, not the selling agent. But here is the selling part that makes the contract. So after you sign your purchase agreement, the or your agent will send the contract, the purchase agreement, to the notary, and the notary will contact both parties and start all the procedures. So when your mortgage is approved, the mortgage advisor will send to the notary all the papers as well. All your bills will be sent to the notary, and then that's how they make the big invoice that you have to pay in the end. And then, of course, in the day of the transfer, you go to the notary, and they will present all the documents together with the translator, and then you sign everything once you're there. We put together some frequently asked questions, so because we know they were coming, so maybe they are already some of your questions, so let me know. Otherwise, please just pop them up for us. What happens if you want to leave the country after several years? So, well, there are a few scenarios, right? If you you can always sell it, especially if the market is growing like this. As I told you, don't buy for less than 3 to 5 years. But if you stay here for like 5 years and the market is growing like crazy, I would sell it, and especially if you go into a country where the interest rates are much better than this country to make profit. I would just take the money with me. But you have the possibility to rent. We're going to have this question further. That depends on the kind of mortgage you have. You might have to rent to sell it as well. It really depends on what, if you have an European passport is different. It really depends on what would happen, what your status in the Netherlands, right? Here are some options. Keep your home but have mortgage costs. So yeah, you can just close the house and keep paying. Rent your home, rent out your home. You need permission from the bank. So that's something people normally don't know when you do a mortgage. Most likely in your mortgage contract, mortgage deed that you're going to have with the bank, it will be saying that if you need to rent the house, you have to call the bank and ask them permission for it. So yeah, that's something you need from the bank. A lot of people don't ask permission as well. Oh, this is being recorded. I shouldn't say that, right? No, I'm just kidding. But I know people that didn't ask permission and they're still renting, because of course the bank is not going to knock at your door to ask for it. But in your mortgage deeds, it does say that you need permission. And I have seen mortgage deeds where people are not allowed to rent it whatsoever. Never, ever, not even ask for permission. They have to sell it if they don't live in the house themselves, or the house will be just closed and you have to pay the monthly costs. You can always sell your home without any penalty or capital gains. The problem with the rent out your property, there might be that the bank will make you change your mortgage to buy to let, which have different interest rates, and you might have to pay part of the mortgage to be able to change the mortgage as well. So be aware of that. How much can I borrow from the bank? Rules for the mortgage cap, based on the salary, of course, based on the value of the property, as I told you before. So if the property is the appraiser, the appraiser put in the valuation report that the property is worth 350, that's how much you're going to get. Doesn't matter if your budget is much higher than that. And of course, if it's less, you're going to only be able to have your budget. Course, residential mortgage or buy to let. On residential mortgage, on occupation obligation, low interest rates, and loan to a value of 100% if you buy to live yourself. And if you have a mortgage that is buy to let, you can only have 70% of the mortgage, 70% of the purchase price, of the valuation report price. So that's the difference between the buy to let and buy to live mortgage. Mortgage and renovation loan, value of the house of 100% of the mortgage, added value by renovation based on invoice, and request two values are in the valuation report. So if you buy a house, my house, I bought it like this. My house is from 1906, and I knew I had to do renovation all the floors, and of course I need the money for the renovation. So you have two reports. The appraiser gives us the report for the house without any renovation, and then he asks you if you're going to do any renovations. You tell them you're going to do. You need quotes from a constructor to tell how much that's going to cost and how much you need make the house as you want it, and the appraiser will tell you what will be the end value of the house after you do the renovation, and then the bank will decide to give you the loan for that or not. If they give you the loan, you have to prove that you use it, of course, sending them invoices of the whole work from the let's say buy a new kitchen or a toilet or the constructor itself. In our case, we hired a company, and so you send them invoices and the bank will pay them. That's how it works to be able to get the renovation loan. That's something it calls bridge loan, if I'm not mistaken. So that's something you can talk to your mortgage advisor about it as well, but it is possible. It all depends on how much value would add in the house and how much it will be the valuation after the renovations. About the renovations, just painting a wall, changing a few doors inside, that's not considered a renovation. Renovation has to be something big, a full bathroom, kitchen, floors. I don't know, maybe you want to change your window frames and put plastic ones, or change the completely roof of the house. Those are renovations that will add big value to the house, not just painting a wall or changing a few things here and there, just for you guys to know. Can I rent out my house or a room? So not allowed with a residential mortgage. So that's, again, that's something you have to ask the bank. If they are, you have to ask permission, and some mortgages will come that you're not allowed whatsoever. And maybe they allow you, but you have to change your mortgage. It really depends, and every case is different. Or you don't have permission at all, and then you rent your place like that, and it's your own risk, of course. Only a room is allowed for 2 people without permit, not allowed for some areas. So you see a website over there that you're going to be able to see later. In Eindhoven, it's not yet maximum of people to be able to register in the house. But for example, in Amsterdam, you do have they like say the house has a square meter, and then they said that in that house is only able to live 2 people, that only 2 people, 3 people can be registered. So that's something that every city hall, every city has different. So in Eindhoven, for now, there is no maximum of people you can register. But of course, if you register 20 people in your house, the city hall is going to ask questions, of course. So that's something, that's why we put the website over there, and then you are able to take a look in what is possible and what is not possible for Eindhoven regarding the amount of people. But yeah, it's your house. You can. It's your decision to let people register in your house or not, of course. What is the typical amount I should overbid? So let's go to this. I like this part a lot. People don't, did I put it right? Oh yeah, there you go. So value, it's all about the value of the house, right? So asking versus purchase price. You see at the first, the blue one, the asking price in the house at Funda is 400K. And then the appraiser, and then the overbid was about 60K. So the person overbid 15%, right? So that's 15% from the 460K. And then everybody goes like, well, we have to overbid 10 to 50. I heard in one viewing a few weeks ago, 20% above, and I wanted to kill the agent because I was like, oh, why would you say that to people? It's so not true. So that's something you really have to really have to pay attention, because you can just throw all your money in that, and sometimes it's not necessary. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but a lot of time it's not the case. So the asking price on Funda was 400, and our fake client bought it for 460. And then the appraiser went there and he did the valuation report, and actually the real value of the house, the market value, is 430. So that's how much the bank is going to give it to you. So at the end, you only overbid 7.5%. Still, it's a lot, but that's the difference when the conversation goes 10 to 20% above the price. So because you never know, they did overbid above the asking price 15%. Yes, they did, but at the end, the overbid was actually 7.5%. So that's the big difference, because when those people put the 460, they didn't even know that the real value market was 430. I see that happen a lot. I actually had a case a few weeks ago that I think the price was 287. We paid 310. And we got the deal. And then when the appraiser went there, guess what? The market value was 310. So we didn't overbid whatsoever. We didn't overbid at all. We bought with the real market value. So and then people, oh, that's a miracle. No, that's price research, people. That's pay attention in what is happening, and not really all the time listen to the agent saying overbid 20%, because that's very dangerous. So that's one example. We have another one, 80K, for example, asking price 380. Oh, wait a second. Asking price 380 versus purchase price. Again, 21%, market value for 30, purchase price for 60. So you still have the difference over there. What is the 10% deposit I need to complete? So the 10% deposit is mandatory. It calls bank guarantee. This is the value if, for example, you just in the middle of the whole, even after a mortgage gets accepted, you that that's not the house you wanted, you just want to pull out of the deal because you didn't go to the notary, it doesn't have the keys. So that's basically the penalty you pay if you don't go through with the deal. What we see in the market as a lot of people are buying without financial clause. So that means you're not protected whatsoever. If your mortgage doesn't get accepted, you do have to pay the 10% from the purchase price to the seller of the house. So that's the down payment for the purchase price. Is agreed on the purchase contract. It will be there in all the purchase contracts. And if you go to Funda, most of the real estate agents already put on Funda that will be in the report. And what I see as well lately is that they put that the value for mortgage will be the asking price. That's going to be in the contract already, so you don't have the chance to put that price, a price above that. That's something also you have to check with them. Bank guarantee or deposit in the account of the notary. So this money will be transferred to the notary. You can pay yourself, or you can borrow from the bank, as I said before, and we'll be able to cover all the penalties that might exist during the whole process. This is very scary, of course. 10% of the purchase price. Can you imagine buy a house of 500K and just give the 50 away if something goes wrong to the seller? It's something that you have to be careful, of course, but it's not something that happens all the time. They're not going to just go to the notary and take your money like that for something. Like I had a client the other day that we asked the date to approve the mortgage passed, so about 1 or 2 days, and then he freaked out saying that, oh, they're going to charge me the 10%. It's not like that. It was in the middle of the holidays. The people in the bank were also in the holidays, so that's common. It's okay. It's not because something was wrong with his mortgage, or it's just about the paperwork. So they're not going to charge the 10% for those small things. Of course, everything's a conversation. It's literally for the big things. If you pull out of the deal, or if you don't get your mortgage accepted but you don't have financial clause, so those are the things that they can use the deposit. What are our fees to help you out buying your house in the Netherlands? So, this is still the, unfortunately, this is the old price, but since we're doing this presentation, that's what it's going to be. A smart package 199. We don't do the search. You have to do the search yourself. Go into the viewings, and then we'll be there with you. After all, if you want to put an offer into the whole process. So those are our package. You have more information on our website, and they have different types of service that we offer, of course. The complete pack is cheaper now. I don't remember, 375. I think it was. Don't remember anymore.
3999999.
There you go.
So
39999.
almost 4K.
So in your website you can find everything, but if you have any doubts about this, just please let me know. What impact does COVID-19 have on the house market? So there you go. We have this development of average houses price in the Netherlands in 2020. The average price was 334, but I'll talk about COVID more. I have to be honest, at the beginning of the market, at the beginning of the whole COVID crisis, more than a year and a half ago, in March last year, when we started to give the webinars, because we used to give this presentation in a nice auditorium, you guys could come, have a drink, and then we were there for talking about it one-on-one and explain everything. But now with this whole thing, might be able to come back, I hope, to do that, those live sections. But for now, this is what it is. A year and a half ago, we were a bit scared of the COVID market and the COVID crisis, making the house market going down. What we saw was completely the opposite. It went sky high. It's still going sky high. So the impact we see is that people just don't want to live in apartments anymore or in studios of 30 square meters. They want a house, they want to go outside, they want to, because especially when you're working so much at home, that's what you want. So we don't see literally any difference. That's not good. They're going up, or not good. If you try to buy it, maybe it's a bit more hard, but we don't see the market going down anytime soon. Not even next year. We already, you probably read it yourself also, that it's going to grow even more. So what we can expect is maybe they slow down a little bit. So instead of growing, I don't know, 10 to 14% a year, maybe 6 to 7%, but not going down whatsoever. That's not something we see coming. That none of the banks are saying that. They're completely the opposite. So I things will be good for a while. And if you have to sell it, if you are the one who is selling, it's even better, right? If you don't have to buy it though. Does working with H&N add value? Well, well, I love this question. Of course it does. I think the first thing, I bought the first house myself. I didn't have an agent by then. I didn't work at H&M as well. This years ago. And the only thing that makes it easier in that time is that I bought in the middle of the crisis. So nobody was buying, everyone was selling. And we had this opportunity. We had some savings and we had this opportunity to buy. So the process went smooth for us because of that. There was no competition really. So people actually coming after us to buy something because we were buying that time. So in this market, especially with this kind of information that you have to overbid or that you have to sign a contract after one day your offer gets accepted, not knowing what is going to happen, or not knowing that you're going to have to do a technical inspection or not, not knowing a very nice appraiser to do a valuation report for you that you can trust. I think we do add a lot of value on that and make your life a bit easier in this very risky process and very stressful, and just doing this process for you and walk with you the whole time and giving our opinion and all the things you have to do during the process, and the people you don't have to talk to in the process because you have us to talk to them and solve the problem for you. I think we do add a lot of value. I do believe, I really believe that we add a lot of value on that, making things better than just have can ask questions all the time and can walk with you to the right path without being so stressful. It is already a very stressful market. So having someone that knows what is going to happen, have the contacts and be on your side the whole time, literally the whole time, I think it's more than necessary. And we are happy to do so because we've been there where you are. Some of our colleagues are where you are looking for the houses themselves. So yeah, and we are expats as well. We know what the feeling is, especially when you don't speak the language. I think it's very hard. Selling agents take offer, a little bit more to add to what I said. Selling agents take offers from H&N more seriously, not just from us, of course, but if you have an agent, the chances are higher that they will take your offer more seriously because they want to know the background of the people who are buying the house. We can sometimes book viewings when it's no longer possible. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes a lot of agents selling parts, they do kind of put aside a few times on the day on the viewings that they can give to agents that call first to get the viewings. Let's say it's completely full and they do put aside about 5-10 times that they can just give to the agents. That happens quite often. We support by review all the Dutch legal documents and property documents. All the property documents will come in Dutch. I see now, which is good, some of agents given sending in English, or at least some of them, which is good for you, for all of us. But most of them will be in Dutch. We help define market value through market data. Yes, that's our price research and property research, which is very, very important for you to know the real value of the property. And we will inform you about rules and regulations, because they change here and there. And there are things that especially with this going with financial, without financial, for example, or having to sign a purchase agreement really fast, or not able to do technical inspection because just they don't want to, those kind of things, that's something we can guide you through. Make sure you don't make the same mistakes I made. Yes, definitely. The process of buying the second house, the process of, I think the process of selling the first house was already, I wouldn't say like a mistake, but knowing what I know today, it should have been different. And the pressure of doing stuff so quickly and accept things that I didn't have to accept, I think it does make a lot of difference having someone that's been through the process and know what is going to happen, instead of always thinking about the money. I think that makes a huge difference. Your experience. So we're about to do another poll to know what you think about our webinar, but unfortunately it's not working. So this is, you can see our website over there. If you click on my picture, I believe when you receive, you can, you go straight to my email address. We're going to go through the questions that you have now, but feel free to schedule a free intake with us, with me or any of our colleagues. If you are in the Eindhoven regions, most likely will be me, unless I'm not in the office. Or if you have any questions about the presentation itself, please send me an email. I'll be happy to help to answer you. We're not charging for that. So let's say you forgot something today, you can just send me an email, please. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time. It's almost dinner time, or it must be dinner for some people. So I really appreciate it. And let's go to the questions. Now you have my amazing colleague Ludo to do that.
And amazing he is, my goodness.
I agree.
Well, we actually answered well, all the questions that there were during the webinar already.
Oh, there you go.
I typed the questions. So if there are any questions left, feel free to ask them now. And otherwise, we can wrap up. We'll give people a little bit of time to type their questions.
Time, yeah.
Otherwise, we cut them off. We don't want to do that.
No, please. So if you have any more questions that Ludo didn't answer yet, please just let us know. Oh, no. Okay.
Nope. I think that was it.
I guess that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, thank you, Ludo, for helping me out.
Of course,
unfortunately, our polls didn't work. Maybe the next time I would. And again, if you have any questions, if you need anything else, just let us know if you forgot to ask something, for example, or if there's something in the presentation that was not clear enough. Please let us know. You'll receive this, so just answer the email back, and then we'd be happy to help you. And good luck with the search, with the offers. Be careful. Remember the tips, so you don't fall in any problems and have to pay the 10%. And good luck to you all. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Good evening, guys.